soul on fire, Beethoven's Sacred Madness. What does it mean to touch the divine? To hear the voice of God in the silence of your own soul? For most of us, these are fleeting moments, glimpses of something vast and unknowable. But for one man, they were the very substance of his existence. Ludwig van Beethoven. Not merely a composer, not merely a genius, but a mystic, a conduit, a man who lived his entire life on the threshold between the human and the divine. Beethoven saw what others could not see. He felt what others could not feel. J.W.N. Sullivan, in his classic study, Beethoven, His Spiritual Development, wrote that Beethoven's greatness lies in his extraordinary perceptions, his heightened experiences and states of consciousness. He was not simply a man who wrote beautiful music. He was a man who experienced reality differently. Nature for Beethoven was not mere scenery. It was alive. It was sacred. As one scholar observed, all parts of nature and the universe seemed to Beethoven as permeated with a divine vibration, which he aspired to translate into written music. Beethoven didn't just hear music. He heard the universe humming. He felt the sacred pulse running through every leaf, every stone, every star. He once said, "In the woods, there is enchantment which expresses all things." And elsewhere, "Every tree seems to speak to me, saying, 'Holy, holy.'" This was not poetic fancy. This was his perception. His consciousness was tuned to a frequency most of us can barely imagine. But this heightened consciousness came at a terrible price. In 1802, at the age of 31, Beethoven retreated to the village of Heiligenstadt, just outside Vienna. His hearing, the very sense through which he experienced his divine connection, was failing him. He wrote a letter to his brothers, a letter he never sent. It would come to be known as the Heiligenstadt Testament. "Oh, you men who think or say that I am malevolent, stubborn, or misanthropic, how greatly do you wrong me. For 6 years, I have been a hopeless case. I was compelled to isolate myself, to live alone, and to cut myself off from all society." He was in despair. He considered suicide. But something remarkable happened, something that would transform him forever. Instead of surrendering to despair, Beethoven made a choice. He wrote in a letter to his friend Franz Wegeler, "I will take fate by the throat. It shall not wholly overcome me." This was not mere bravado. This was a spiritual turning point. Sullivan described it as Beethoven's ultimate acceptance of his suffering as necessary to his creativity, which marks the peak of his spirituality. Beethoven's deafness became his crucible. The silence he was forced into became the womb of his greatest creations. He had to go inward, deeper, and what he found there was God. For Beethoven, music was not entertainment. It was not even art as we understand it. It was revelation. Music is a higher revelation than the whole of wisdom and the whole of philosophy, he declared. "He who penetrates the meaning of my music shall be freed from all the misery which afflicts others." Think of the audacity of that statement. Freedom from misery through music. But he meant it. Every note he wrote was an attempt to transmit the divine vibration he felt, to give others access to the elevated consciousness he inhabited. The vibrations on the air, he said, are the breath of God speaking to man's soul. Music is the language of God. The language of God. And nowhere is this divine language more powerful than in his Ninth Symphony. The Ninth Symphony is not merely a piece of music, it is a journey. From darkness to light, from chaos to unity, from despair to ecstasy. The opening moves in hushed anticipation. Then, an elemental theme erupts, suggesting creation myths or the Big Bang, as one critic put it. And then, the finale, the ode to joy. Schiller's words, set to music that seems to emerge from the very soul of the universe. Joy, bright spark of divinity, daughter of Elysium. This is not just joy, this is divine joy. Ecstasy. Ecstasy was given to the worm, the text says, and the cherub stands before God. Even the lowest creature can experience this rapture, and we, through Beethoven's music, are lifted to stand with the angels. The Ninth Symphony is Beethoven's gift to humanity, a sonic doorway into elevated consciousness. But if the Ninth Symphony is a hymn to humanity, there is another work that goes even further. The Missa Solemnis. Beethoven himself regarded it as his greatest composition, where the ninth reaches outward to embrace all of humanity. The Missa Solemnis reaches upward, toward God. One scholar described it as the human spirit rising up toward the divine light descending toward mankind. Beethoven wrote, "My chief aim was to awaken and permanently instill religious feelings, not only into the singers, but also into the listeners. Not temporary emotion, permanent religious feeling, a lasting shift in consciousness. This is what Beethoven was offering. This is what he was giving." Beethoven died in 1827, but his consciousness, his elevated, divine-soaked consciousness, lives on in every note he wrote. Both theists and atheists have affirmed the spiritual power of his music. It transcends belief systems. It transcends time. It transcends everything. When Helen Keller, deaf and blind, listened to Beethoven's Ninth over the radio in 1924, she described it as a glorious hour. She could not hear the notes, but she could feel the vibration, the divine vibration. Beethoven said, "Music is the mediator between the spiritual and the sensual life." He was the mediator, the bridge, the man who stood between heaven and earth and translated the voice of God into sound. So the next time you listen to Beethoven, whether it's the thunder of the Fifth, the serenity of the Pastoral, or the ecstatic triumph of the Ninth, remember, you are not just listening to music. receiving a transmission. A transmission from a man whose consciousness was elevated beyond almost anyone who has ever lived. A man who took fate by the throat and found God in the silence. A man who proved that the human spirit, even in its darkest hour, can rise to touch the divine. Beethoven showed us the way. Now it's our turn.